Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome. My name is Monica Spears, and I'm president of the Board of Directors for the Association of Development Officers. Welcome to Meet the Funders. We're so proud to present this special event in partnership with the grant professionals of the Lower Hudson Valley. Many of you who are here today as members of either ADO or GPLH, as the grant professionals of the Lower Hudson Valley is affectionately known. You may not be familiar with one or the other, so I'll give you a little primer. ADO provides educational programs and peer groups that help fundraising professionals diversify their organization's income and build long-term sustainability. And we serve as a community where business and nonprofit leaders connect and collaborate. GPLH is a member organization that provides educational opportunities for grant specialists. They promote high ethical grant writing standards, and they raise awareness of philanthropy and charitable giving. And I'm proud to also be a GPLH member. I encourage you to learn more about either of the two organizations. You can visit us online, or better yet, we have tables set up outside, so stop by and learn a little bit more about each. We want to thank the GPLH and ADO program sponsors for their incredible support of our organizations. And we can't do this important work that we do without them. So thank you very much. And thank you today for Corporate AV. For working on this event with us. They work with us on all of the ADO events, so we're very grateful to them. Thank you, thank you. And also thank you to our host, Wrexham. We're here in this beautiful building. They're hosting us today, so we thank them as well. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Deborah Brown, who's co-president of GPLH and founder of Deborah Brown Consulting. She will be our moderator today. So, Deborah, please.
Thank you, Monica. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So I would like to ask any board members from ADO and GPLH to stand so we can say hello and thank you. Lovely. We want to thank you for all your hard work, and we want to thank our panelists for coming here today to help us. And on to the main event. So our goal today is to strengthen the grant writing capacity of applicants so that funders get what they need and applicants get what they need. And our plan is that I'm going to ask questions until about 10. I hate to do this to you, but we're going to keep it short, about 2 minutes per question, and or answer, I should say. And then we'll stop at 10, and there'll be about 15 minutes Q&A for everyone. And then we'll stop everything at about 10:15 so that you can all talk together. With that, when I first ask you a question, panelists, I'm going to ask you if you could just introduce yourself to the audience and say your name, your organization, and your title, and what you fund, what your interests are. Thank you. Okay, so before we got started, we actually asked our funders what their interests were in terms of our list of questions, so I'm going to be directing questions. This one is for Lauren and for Sean. So Lauren, first, can you give us an example of a successful grant proposal and why it stood out from others? And at the same time, can you tell us what you don't like and what your pet peeves are, what you don't like to see? So what stands out as great and what's not so great?
Sure. Good morning. My name is Lauren Perkins. I'm a program director at the Westchester office of the New York Community Trust, formerly known as the Westchester Community Foundation. In my grant-making areas include youth development, early childhood education, health, social services, and technical assistance. And our foundation also funds in the areas of the environment and arts and culture. and community development. So in terms of a successful proposal, so this might sound really, really fundamental, but we rejoice when proposals are clearly written and respond to our proposals and our proposal instructions. So at the Trust, we don't require a particular template for our proposals, but we do want to see a couple key things. The first is a description of the problem or the system or the policy that your project is addressing. The second is a clear link to our funding areas. And the third are your goals, activities, outcomes, and how you'll measure success. But what really makes a successful proposal stand out is when those things are clearly connected. So we as a funder want to see the relationship between your activities and your outcomes and your goals. Even a strong project, if the proposal is hard to follow, won't stand out and won't be successful. But easier said than done, right? So a couple things that stand out for successful proposals and ideas around how to make your proposal clear and easy to follow. The first is use structure in the proposal to your advantage. So we like to see headings and bullets and clear sections of the proposal. It really helps us understand your ideas easier. And then another thing to do is to keep your language really clear and direct. Avoid jargon, avoid lofty language. We know that it's often harder to write something in one paragraph than it is in three, but plain language can be really powerful to convey your ideas. So on the pet peeve side, I'll sort of preface this by saying that when we fund a project, we really want it to succeed. And a key thing in making sure that a grant-funded project succeeds is clear and open communication between the funder and the grantee. So a pet peeve is keeping us in the dark about major changes during a grant period. So things can change, and we completely understand that. Leadership transitions, things that might impact the timeline of a proposal, the implementation of a project. And we want to support you through changes that might have to happen, adjustments that might have to happen over the course of the grant period, reporting timelines, the budget, et cetera. But we can only do that if we are kept aware of what's happening. So don't keep us in the dark. The second pet peeve is, similarly, like on reports, the deliverables that we agree upon during their proposal review are included in an award letter, which we consider a binding contract. And I'm accountable for reporting on those deliverables. And so if they don't show up in a final report, if they're sort of missing, I'm going to have to follow up, and it just creates a lot of work for the funder and the grantee partner. So the key thing is just open and honest communication that can help develop trust over the course of a grant period.
Thank you so much, Lauren. That's really helpful. And Sean, what do you have to say about?
Hi, Sean Van Dyke, Manager of Community Engagement with New York Presbyterian, overseeing the enterprise. And so what we fund it's pretty broad. It's health and wellness topics. I mean, we keep it broad intentionally because there's different priorities within the hospital that change given the year. For me, what things that are a successful proposal are ones that, much to like what Lauren said, but ones that are like direct, clear language, organized, and focused. Those tend to usually stand out. You know what you want to do, how you're going to do it, and all those things help a proposal be successful. Again, much like Lauren said, the jargon is one of the things that we don't typically like to see. Just knowing exactly how you want to, what the message is that you're trying to convey. Staying within yourself, keeping that sense of who your organization is, but being upfront and direct, answering the questions directly will go a long way. I've seen ones where they bury the answer to the question way down at the bottom of the question. They like to include a lot of what I like to call fluff. There's so much passion that comes out, and you tend to throw the kitchen sink into every answer, but it doesn't get to the bottom. And so, like Lauren, I'm responsible for reporting this out to my senior leaders, and if I have to find the answer, it gets a little complicated. So, answering the question up front and then going into, all that stuff that conveys your passion goes a long way. And so for me, some of my pet peeves are, we do usually tend to have a template. If, organizations that ignore the template and send on their own letterhead. That, for me, that's a pet peeve of mine.